Well, this is the next podcast. Yeah, the last time I talked about my trip from St. Louis to Seattle with Mike Pegram when he bought Real Quiet, and talked about some other stuff, the Green Monkey. And if you listen to it, it was my favorite plane ride trip. And I learned a lot about buying racehorses. Not that I've ever purchased one. This one is 1970. I got out of boot camp, and I flew to New York to see my dad for 10 days. And then when I flew back to San Diego, I had hospital corps school at Balboa Naval Hospital. And Dad said, well, when you're back there, remember Del Mar's open. I went, oh my God, you're right. And so Del Mar is a track that I'd always wanted to go to. And Dad reminded me that the track had one of the tracks, Pimlico, and I think Keeneland, even at that time, and Del Mar were the three tracks in the country that did have a front speed bias, meaning if a lot of times horses on fast tracks that took the lead quite often would wire. They'd go wire to wire. And so if you could find the horse that's going to pop the box, as they say, it would go wire to wire. So I had that in mind when I got there. And so for 6 Saturdays I went. The very first Saturday when I was in hospital corps school in San Diego, one of the corpsmen, Gary Patrick, who was from Iowa, I went to Iowa State, and he was from Iowa, I was from Chicago. But he said, hey, could I go along? I've always wanted to play the horses. And he didn't know anything about playing the ponies, but I said, sure, I'll teach you. But for the 6 weeks or the times that we went to the races together, I did the betting, but I showed him how to do it, and I still to this day don't know if he continued on betting the horses. But we went down and took the track bus to Del Mar, and we got there, and you could smell the surf and the turf it was a beautiful track. And strangely enough, because nowadays I know it's very crowded. Nowadays it's just packed with people, always. It's a boutique meet. There's Del Mar, Keeneland, and Saratoga. Those are the three boutique meets. They're just tremendously popular horse race meets. Well, but we got box seats each time, and it wasn't that crowded in line to make bets. I still don't understand why. It was very interesting. But this was 1970, so for whatever reason, it was wonderful. And the first time we were there, the first week, we each cleared right around $120. Now, you say, well, $120 each, big deal. You got to remember, we were E3 corpsmen, which is low man on the totem pole, just about. We were making around $80 every 2 weeks. So I told Gary, now remember, Gary, just bring 40, don't bring 80, because we've got to last 2 weeks on this money. Because it's all we get is like $80-some. So we hid the other 40 in our lockers in hospital corps school at Balboa Naval Hospital. Went out there and we won. And it was front speed. Of the 9 races, 7 of them were front speed. And we hit 5 races. We didn't hit anything big, but we ended up clearing around $100 to $120. So Gary thought, this is tremendous. Life is good. We went the next week, and the next week we did something that Dad had told me about also. That racetrack has a tradition. That all the celebrities that built the track, Desi Arnaz, Bing Crosby, etc., Lucille Ball, they come out on the the balcony, which is behind the track where the paddock is, and they talk to the fans for 15-20 minutes. It depends. After I think the 7th race, so Gary and I went out there, and sure enough, once we get out there, we're only there like 30 seconds. And we're both in our Navy uniforms, and Jimmy Durante, the big schnoz, he looks down and he sees us, and he says, Navy guys, I'm dying up here. I haven't cashed a ticket. Now that could have been just a bit that he did. I'm dying up here. I need help. Could you give me one? Give me a winner. And I said, Jimmy, I looked at the board. The horse is 4-1, the 5 horse wire to wire. Hey, thanks, kid, thanks. And the horse won. Now, of course, I'm thinking, well, the next time I see Jimmy, maybe he'll throw me something, Now, there's no big end to this story because I never saw Jimmy Durante again, but I gave him a winner. Now, what I thought later is it might have just been a bit that he did every time he was on the balcony. But the celebrities were out there. Desi Arnaz was there, Jimmy Durante, Lucille Ball, Bing Crosby was there. So it's a magical time. The paddock is great at Del Mar. If you ever get a chance, you've got to go. So then we went. So that time we each won like 60. The third time was the big one. We hit $180 double. We had it twice. So this was the big kahuna. We each won 300 something. This was big money. We had so much money that when we got back to the base, we told the company commander, kind of in private, and we said we'd like to go to Wells Fargo on Monday and open savings accounts because we're going to be here for 2.5 months, and we really don't feel safe having this money in our locker. And he said, "Oh, sure, go ahead, guys." So we went downtown San Diego and opened a savings account each, because we had like almost $500, saved up with winnings. So that was wonderful. The next Saturday, we lost. We had three in a row. It was good though, and then we lost. Well, the next Saturday, I said, "Gary, what do you think? You ready to go?" He said, "Nah, I think I'm going to pass." I said, "Oh, Gary, you can't win them all." He said, "Nah, I don't feel like it." So Gary thought, you go to the track with Murph, you win a bunch of money, and life is good. Murph's a bank. So he didn't get the whole point. But I went, and that was the time that I saw Willie Shue. He broke the most wins by a jockey that particular Saturday, and I've seen that film multiple times on TV, ESPN. I've seen it on TVG, but I've seen it many times. Willie Shue breaking that record, and what I think every time is right behind us. If the camera had turned around, Gary and I were sitting there up in the box seats. So I went one more time, and I lost the last time. But I just want to tell you about Del Mar, that if you have a chance, I want you to go. Find a way to go to Del Mar, but go to the summer meet. They have 2 meets now, but please go to the summer meet because it's magical time, and it's just a great place. The top jocks, but the weather's always nice there. And just a couple of things. They're not really handicapping tips, but I never bring my ATM card. I used to a while ago, but I haven't for so long now, because I just bring a daily allotment. Whatever that allotment is, whatever you're comfortable with, just bring that. I don't bring my ATM card, and then it's more relaxing, really. And the other tip that I have for you is if you win like 40 or 50 bucks, I just spend that. I don't care about it. But if I win like 100, my dad taught me 20%, put it in the right side of your billfold, and you can spend it that day. 80%, 80 bucks, put it in the left side and take it home. That way, if you win, say, 200 or 300, 20%, 60 bucks you can spend that day, and the 240 you put aside in the left side. That way, if you have a nice hit, you don't give it back, and you take some money home. So next week I'm going to talk about the largest daily double I ever hit, $2,400 at Portland Meadows in 1987. And I had to have a really, really nice car. I had to get a down payment for it to have this job. And I had to do it over the weekend. Well, I did. So that's next time. Good talking to you.